In his introduction, the author describes the creation of this book thusly. We tried to get our hands on everything that would help convey the entire gambit of creative energies expended in the realization of the film. No, you didn't, you lazy bastard. You grabbed the easiest, blandest materials you could to bulk out and slap together a full-priced book as quickly as possible, and then put in the least possible effort to season it with the barest amount of additional materials so you could proclaim them as part of the content in trying to sell your snake oil. The first 170 pages of the shooting script, the differences between it and the final film are minimal and insignificant. Similarly, running along the bottom are photos from the still photographers, so technically these are different to the final frame on film, but in the sense of a slightly different angle. Like the script, it's only discernible if you are doing a side-by-side comparison, and even then it's never interesting, so whether watching the movie then reading the book or doing both simultaneously, it offers next to nothing. Now, the one very, very cool feature that is included are the director's handwritten notes from his personal script from before they started production. This is an example of an inclusion that makes publishing a script a great idea. Unfortunately, it doesn't end up being a huge feature because about a third of the way into the script, the notes become increasingly scarce to the point where 20 pages will go by without a single one. This is a running theme for this book where we'll see evidence of a good idea, but due to the author's laziness and incompetence, they're realized in a totally unsatisfying way. The last 90 pages are supposedly the art and making of section. 90 pages is obviously not great, but it's not insignificant, particularly once you see how great the layout is in terms of sizing everything well and cramming as much stuff as possible into those 90 pages. However, as I've established, this book is all about running a quick and dirty swindle, so you're not actually getting 90 packed pages of legit or well-used content. Specifically because most of it is just desperately filling it out with even more stills. Not only that, but actually repeating the exact same photos that were already included in the script section, just this time twice as big. Unbelievable. The other thing that's making up most of the 90 pages are the storyboards. Now, these are actually pretty cool. The problem is, why are they taking up all this space in the art and making of section instead of having the storyboards running below the script instead of the pointless stills? Obviously, we know the answer, because they're just trying to pad out the book as quick and easy as possible. Yes, there are several artworks and behind-the-scenes photos in this section, but that accounts for only the smallest fraction of this book's content. Now, kind of like how the script had one redeeming feature, that of the director's notes, in this section it's again the director providing the only content of significance. You'll see the behind-the-scenes section has quite a bit of text. It's all DVD-style commentary from the director, and the majority of it is fantastic. It's specific details, insight, anecdotes on specific scenes and images, to the point that even though it's only a small part of a small section of a whole book, the amount of quality information included rivals, even outstrips many dedicated making of books that are just filled with sound bites and generalized waffle. Now, it's not perfect, it's not free of this book's pointless, lazy filler style, as there is a little too much of him just explaining the scene, which means you read the scene in the script, see the same scene in the storyboards, then the same thing again in the stills, sometimes twice, and then have the director describe the scene, meaning you just experience the same scene 4 times, in addition to already having seen it in the movie. And trust me, it's not like this is some profound look at the evolution of a scene at each stage of the process. It's not insightful, it's tedious. Also, the fact that the director is the only person we hear from, again, feels like an example of this book's rushed and indolent handling, because interviewing more people would actually require a little more time and effort. Easily the strongest part of this book is on the graphic designs for the props, like the propaganda, banknotes and stuff, and even cooler is a whole bunch of unused poster designs for the movie. Though all this stuff only amounts to like half a dozen pages, it is another one of those few uncharacteristically inspired ideas this book displays. But I guess also frustratingly, it shows what the book should have been. Speaking of what it should have been, it's all very clearly set up so that the script and behind-the-scenes sections should have been combined. Just get rid of most of the pointless, space-wasting stills and instead include more art, behind-the-scenes pictures and some commentary from other people, and market it honestly as the annotated script. Obviously, I'd still just prefer a straight-up art making of book since the script's not that interesting, but at least what I just described would still be something well worthy of publication. But, as it stands, it has neither nearly enough content nor the ability to implement it to make it work. Instead, it's just a piss-poor, botched version of that, shamefully slapping together maybe like 50 pages of good content and then just adding 200 pages worth of packing peanuts to make it appear like you've made a whole book. Getting paid 100% when you've only put in 20%, some people may say that's just working smart. I, however, call it a scam, and greatest sin of all, a squandered opportunity to properly document this movie. It's also a pestilence that spreads acceptance of such low standards, as is evidenced by this same publisher going on to do at least 2 other books in this style, for Speed Racer and The Dark Knight. And not only that, but somehow made them even scummier. Which of course they would when fans didn't hold them accountable last time. What would V think of that mentality, I wonder?